Hey everyone! In today's video, I wanted to talk to you about the brushes that I use for digital painting and how I literally only use 2 total brushes for creating a piece, and one of those is a sketching and one of those is a painting brush. So I technically only use 1 total for the painting process. Before we begin, I wanted to say thank you so much to Skillshare for sponsoring this video. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creators. You can explore new skills, deepen existing passions, and get lost in creativity. Class topics include illustration, graphic design, photography, fine art, freelance, and entrepreneurship, and more. Skillshare classes include a combination of video lessons and a class project, and their classes fit any schedule and skill level, so you can learn a new skill or learn at a deeper level for a skill that you already have. Members get unlimited access to thousands of inspiring classes with hands-on projects and feedback from a community of millions, and most classes are under 60 minutes with short lessons to fit any schedule. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning that there are no ads and they're always launching new premium classes so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. One class that I would recommend you watch and try out is Modern Watercolor Techniques, Explore Skills to Create On-Trend Paintings by Kat Coquelette. She is a wonderful watercolor artist and she has sold her designs to Urban Outfitters, ModCloth, Society 6, and more. So she's a great resource if you want to learn more about watercolors and hear it from a successful modern perspective. So if you're interested in trying out Skillshare, the first 1,000 people to use the link will get a free trial of Skillshare Premium membership. You can find it down in the description. But thank you so much for Skillshare for sponsoring this video. So let's talk about this painting. I only use 1 imported brush. So the 1 brush I use for sketching comes default with Photoshop. It's the soft round pressure opacity brush. I like using a brush with a soft edge. I like using a brush with soft edges and no pressure size because when I first start sketching the rough sketch, I can use a light color and have the brush be really big as I'm sketching the overall composition and the rough sketch. And as I add new layers to refine the sketch, I can start making the brush darker and using a smaller size so that I can get in there with finer details and lines. And the reason that I do use the soft pressure brush is because it's going to diffuse those lines, and as you're going to be painting, it's going to help you be able to incorporate and color pick from the soft edges to create a seamless, beautiful painting. I've used a hard round pressure opacity brush before to paint, and I just find the whole process a lot more difficult because I can't color select in that diffused area where the color of the lines blend with the under painting to create like the perfect tone and the perfect blend. Hopefully that makes sense to you, but I definitely recommend using a soft round pressure opacity brush when you're doing the under sketch. And that is all I do for the sketch layer. I usually have 2 or 3 sketch layers underneath depending on how detailed I want to be. And one tip that I have for you is if you're struggling with digital painting and creating the under sketch, try to have your sketch be as accurate anatomically and where you want all the features to be as possible, because when you're going to be painting on top of that, if you don't have the sketch layer exactly the way that you want the final piece to look, you're going to have to sort of Frankenstein over that as you're painting. It's going to be a lot more difficult, and the sketch layer is going to in the end distract from the final piece. So you might end up with a piece that does not have the composition or the anatomy that you want. Spend more time on the original sketch to make sure that it looks exactly how you want it to before you start laying down color. So that is literally it for the sketch layer. I do only use 1 brush for the entire painting process, and I will link the brush set that I use down in the description. It is free to use from a wonderful digital artist. Her name's Charlie Bowder. You for sure know her work. You've seen it around. She's a great inspiration to me. However, I only use 1 brush off of the brush set that she created. It is the Ragged Hard Round brush. That's it. I use this one brush for every single digital painting. It's the single brush that I use, and the way that I make a painting come alive with literally just one brush is by being very careful with the pressure, opacity, and color picking and the size of the brush. So this is something that you're going to learn with practice. I don't want to say that I recommend for you to only use one brush. Use as many brushes as you want or as a few brushes as you need, depending on your workflow. But the key to a good painting doesn't necessarily have to be a crazy amount of brushes. So first off, I would suggest know what you're looking for in a brush, what I look for. And I can't lie, this brush is not my 100% perfect match. I'd say it's closer to an 85% perfect match. And the perfect brush that I had was a Krita brush when I still used Krita. You can watch my Krita brush video if you would like, and you can see which one that was. But I do love a round brush with medium soft edges and a very stroke-like taper, an organic taper in pressure opacity, not size, to that brush. So overall, I personally don't like a brush with changing pressure size because I have a painterly style and don't do a lot with line art. I don't like a brush with pressure size differentiation. When I'm using Procreate and I'm actually lining, I do like pressure size, but what's most important to me is just the pressure opacity. Since I've been painting for so long, I'm so comfortable with the shortcuts on my computer for changing the brush size. And I find that being comfortable with changing the size and having the most control with the pressure opacity, that is the combination that works best for myself. As you paint, you'll learn what your painting style is and what you prefer. But if you're kind of stuck and you're looking for some help from me, I would recommend using at least the Ragged Hard Round brush from the brush pack listed down in the description. It is free to download and to install into Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop and you are looking for a free alternative to digital painting, I used to exclusively use Krita, and I have a ton of videos on my channel about Krita and the brushes, and I do still love and recommend Krita. If you don't have Photoshop and you don't want to spend the money on it, Krita is a great painting resource, and I do love it. It's just that since I already pay for the Creative Suite in Adobe, and because I do use Illustrator, sometimes Premiere, and InDesign, I am comfortable with Photoshop right now, and it's just streamlined to have the Creative Suite for myself as a professional. If you don't have that money to spend, do not worry. Get Krita, maybe GIMP. I'm sure there are other free painting software out there. There's even Paint Tool Sai if you like a more anime manga look. There are options. I digress. One quality that I think makes my art stand out is that I have this mix of edges to my paintings as well as really soft blending, and it's kind of crazy that I do achieve it all with one brush. I used to use multiple brushes and have a more complex process, and as time has gone on, I've realized I don't necessarily need it. Sometimes for bigger paintings or for different textures, I'll use different brushes, but in this painting, I just used the one brush for the painting process, and I loved it. I like that I can get this brush to be super small, so it has a harsher edge to it if I want to add details or sharp lines, like the eyelashes on the eyes or some of the little hairs, the baby hairs poking out, or the details in the earrings. But I can also have a very soft diffused look on the flowers if I use light pressure opacity and swirling motions to create sort of a Gaussian blur to the brush. As you learn how to digitally paint and what process works best for you, you'll begin to have these second nature hand gestures that you can apply to your paintings, such as knowing exactly the correct pressure opacity to use for having a really soft diffused look or for a really bold line. Again, you don't have to use just one brush for painting, but I do. And if you have been struggling, I recommend this one specific brush, and you can try it out yourself. Try out these two brushes total for the sketch and then for the painting, and let me know what you think. I mean, I really obviously think that my paintings are cute, and I wanted to talk to you about this topic. But if you have any input, if you are struggling with anything with digital painting, let me know down in the comments. I'm always looking for new topics to talk about digital painting and new techniques to to explore with you, because I do want to ultimately be a resource to you as I am painting and as I personally am learning. So if you have questions, I would love to address new topics in more digital painting videos. I sometimes run out of topics that I think you're going to find interesting. If you have input, please let me know. If you like this painting, it's going to be a Patreon limited edition postcard for the end of July, which is going to be shipped out August 1st. So you can go down in the description and find my Patreon and pledge for this postcard if you're interested in it. But otherwise, I appreciate you being here. Thank you for watching, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Bye.